Thank you very much. So again, welcome everybody. Happy Tuesday afternoon. Thank you for joining us. This is our travel-focused hot topics from supply chain. Those of you that don't know me, I'm Mike Keener. I'm our Assistant Vice Chancellor over Supply Chain Management. And we have the lovely privilege of overseeing accounts payable and procurement and logistics and repro and travel, which is what we're going to talk about today. And I just wanted to start by once again kind of reiterating our appreciation to you all for your continued partnership with us, not just in the travel world, but mostly around the Aggie Enterprise solution as we've been working through the onboarding of that over the last year and a half now. We've finished our first full fiscal year of that system, and we are going to be deploying a new requisitioning user interface later this month. So I'm sure I'll see several of you back again at our various updates and office hours. Let's see. Okay. So speaking of updates and office hours, I want to remind everybody that we are continuing our office hours within supply chain management. Those are indefinitely. We hold them on Tuesday and Thursday. We also are part of a joint office hours with finance on Wednesdays. So we have 3 days a week where any of you are welcome to come to our office hours and ask questions about anything supply chain related. Bring your specific transactions and come ask our teams your questions. We will try to address those for you. I should preface by saying that this session today, these are our hot topics. This is a sort of our monthly or bi-monthly chance to present on some issues or new systems or whatever that we think is interesting for everybody. It is not a session to ask questions about specific transactions. So if you came to today's meeting with 3 report keys from Aggie Expense ready to ask questions about them, you're at the wrong meeting. Please come to our office hours. This will be a chance to go through some new changes that are coming to our policy and guidance around travel, as well as a couple of new solutions that are coming down the pipeline. We wanted to tease a little bit. And we are welcoming any questions related to those, but please don't ask questions about specific transactions. That's office hours time. Lately, our kind of main interest around policy and guidance has been focused on 2 main areas. We've been trying to help improve the stewardship of UC resources across our campus. Basically, that's fancy code word for saying let's be more budget conscious, try to spend less on travel wherever possible. And our second area has been trying to reduce the likelihood and actual occurrence of fraud and misuse related to travel and entertainment. So with those things, we've developed some new policies that are actually out there now. They're effective already. And we've developed some new guidance that's out on our websites. And Vartan today, our Director of Business Financial Services, is going to walk through the slide deck, share with you all of these. We're going to all collectively as a group answer any questions you might have. Chat is a great tool to throw your questions in there. We can all respond back to there and everyone can see them. Or if you're more comfortable talking, that's going to be fine too. We'll have a lot of breaks as we kind of go through each policy change. Is there anything else I wanted to throw out for you? I think that's about it. I did want to mention as well, as you saw at the first slide, this will be published, the slideshow that you're seeing today, as well as the recording of this meeting. So no need to ask for the slides, you'll get them. And the slides also have some links in them, so they're kind of nice to have the slides if that helps you. And then also this information for the most part has also been shared with the assistant deans already. And we have some time to share it later this month with the CODVC level. So sort of all levels of our organization should be aware of these changes in the next week or 2. And that I think is all that you need to hear from me. So why don't we go ahead and start? I'm going to hand it over to Vartan and he'll take it from here.
Thanks, Mike. And good afternoon, everybody. I hope everyone's having a good day so far. We have lots to go through, so I'll make sure to pause every so often. I'm sure there's going to be questions, several questions, and we have Jen Thompson here who's going to help hopefully answer those questions along with Crystal and Jim from Supply Chain Management. But we'll do our best to try to address all the questions that you may have and go through this agenda. So as you can see on our screen right now, we have PPM 300-10 updates. That's really the bulk of what we're going to be discussing today. along with the travel guidance. Central office processes. Olive and Vine moves to Fitz. Instacart replacing our preferred booking program, something we're excited about. And then finally, some communication. So that is what we have on deck today. All right, we're going to jump right into the updates to policy. And again, we'll just go through sort of each one of these bullet points, and then after each slide, I'll pause and try to answer any questions that you may all have. So, all right, so updates. Number one, clarified that travel expenses must be approved by a department representative who is not a subordinate to the traveler. Pretty straightforward. That's new in policy. We have clarified that first class and business class airfare will need additional justification required for a long haul first class. Okay. Justification is going to be required when requesting round trip business or first class. Clarified in the policy that only one extra day is allowed before or after a trip that qualifies for reimbursement. So what does that mean is if someone is traveling 2 or 3 days before the actual business trip, the expenses that would qualify for potential reimbursement would only be a day before or a day after the trip. That would be considered during your business travel time. And then finally, a meeting and conference agenda is required. So first slide, I don't want to rush through any of this, but I also want to make sure that we answer any questions that you may have before I jump into the next slide. And as Mike said earlier, this is all going to be accessible, this slide deck for you if you need a review again in the future. So it looks like we have something in chat here. Okay, just to clarify, if they have an Uber, hi Kelly, just to clarify, if they have an Uber to the airport a few days prior to the event,
Hi.
reimbursable. Hi Kelly.
Hi.
Sorry. Yeah, no problem. An Uber to the airport a few days prior to the event, is that reimbursable? Jen?
Hi. So a few days prior, it would depend on when the event begins. So if the event begins on the 1st and the Uber to the airport is on the 27th, no, that's very likely not directly related to the business purpose of the trip. So what the number 4 is saying here is that if you're going to a conference that starts on, for example, I'm going to a conference that starts on the 16th. I am traveling on the 15th. So my travel expenses the day before the conference begins at 8 o'clock in the morning in Chicago. My trip expenses on Monday to fly to Chicago, my Uber to the airport and from the airport to the hotel, and my meals for that day are approved with my conference trip. Likewise, I can come home on the 17th, Wednesday, the 17th, the day after. But I'll say as a good steward of university funds, it's because I don't like to travel personally myself. I'm going to come home on Tuesday night. So I'm going to save my department one night of lodging by coming home on Tuesday night.
I've had several, it's happened on quite a few occasions where a traveler will, when I have mentioned that it's not reimbursable if they're going, like, let's say 3 days prior, they're going early for personal, but they come back and they tell me, well, I would have had to take an Uber to the airport anyway.
Yeah, so that actually will come into, we'll talk about that here in a second as well.
Okay.
So when we're adding personal days onto business travel, it's allowable to do. However, there's a big caveat that we've got to demonstrate exactly what our approved business travel expenses are versus what our personal expenses are. So if I am, we're going to travel to Chicago on Monday, I want to leave on Friday because my family's going to come with me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a quote of what just my Monday trip would have been if I wasn't taking my extra personal days. And then I'm going to go ahead and book my trip however I want. But I'm going to show in my report, I'm only going to claim my own meals, not even though I get $92 a day and I can take my whole family with me to McDonald's and we can all eat for $40. I'm not claiming $40. I'm going to claim my cheeseburgers and fries myself that I had, nothing
Right.
else. Personal monies pay for any other person traveling with me. And yes, I would get an Uber if I was traveling by Uber to the airport. Then I would have one Uber trip from either my headquarter location or my home, whichever is closer to the airport. And that's going to be my one charge for
Mhm.
Uber there.
Right.
And then you get one on the way back.
So no matter if you leave 3 days prior to the event, just the Uber, the travel, because they would need to travel anyway to the airport, just the Uber ride would be covered, even if it's a few days prior the trip or a few days after, let's just say.
Yes, but it's going to need some serious explanation with it.
Okay.
So we're going to want to explain that this is my one trip. The other thing that you'll want to do too, if possible, is grab a quote for what the Uber would have cost had you left on Monday morning versus Friday evening, because those can vary.
Mhm.
And the other thing is if if I use the example of my family traveling with me, I'm not going to take an Uber X SUV and charge the university for this big, huge vehicle to fit my family and all of their luggage in there. I'm only going to get reimbursed for what the normal Uber in a Prius would have cost to get me to the airport by myself.
Right. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Kelly, and hey, this is a message for everybody. So sort of the overlying theme here with these updates is, and you're going to hear this term a lot that we've been using within our office, just being a good steward of the university, right? And making smart decisions, but also providing adequate explanation and justification when you're seeking reimbursement. And so if someone, to Jen's point, 3-4 days ahead of time, they're saying, well, I would have had to take over, everything needs to be addressed, okay, as to why. And as long as we have proper, we're not trying to make things harder for people. That is not the purpose of any of this. This is just making sure that we are aligned with university policy and Office of the President policy. So we just want to make sure that everything's explained adequately, or we're not missing anything. Just being a good
Perfect.
steward of the university. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Jen, it looks like we have, do we have any other questions for the side? Oh, Ashley. Ashley. Hi, Ashley.
Yeah, so the difference between 2 and 3.
Yeah.
So number 2, clarified first class and business class airfare with additional justification required for long haul first class. So Mike actually does a really good job of explaining this, but when we're talking about long haul first class, we're talking about those international flights where you have a complete lay flat seat, where you are able to rest before the commencement of work the next day or upon exiting the plane. It's those types of first class flights that we need the additional justification for. To be honest, we rarely ever see these. And when we're talking about these are the very expensive, $10,000 plus for a seat, and there's only a couple of airlines that even offer these types of flights between the US and other destinations. So mostly what we refer to as first class airfare with all of our regular travel that comes up. If I'm going to fly first class to New York because I'm going to be on a plane for 6 hours, it's actually a business class seat because I'm not able to lay flat completely. I don't have the privacy. I just have a little bit more leg room up front, and Delta calls it Delta One or every airline has their different names for it. Number 3, the focus is on the word round trip. So when we are taking a business class flight, because we have to get off the plane at, we land at 6 a.m., we're on a red eye, we're going to London to give a talk, and I have to get off the plane at 6 and I have to give my talk at 8:30 a.m. Well, I don't have time for adequate rest before needing to get to my job, that I'm doing, giving that talk. So my reason for taking my first business class flight on the way there is because I need to get off the plane and go straight to work. I need to be able to rest on the plane. But do I need to come home on a first class flight as well? Well, no. The reason for getting there early was, a timing issue. On my way back, I may not have those same time constrictions. And so then I can just take a regular economy seat. Likewise, if I do have to hurry up and get back and I have another presentation that I have to give in front of, a bunch of people, and I don't have time to rest on my way home, then I can justify the use of the business or first class flight to get home as well. So what number 3 is saying is we need to justify both directions of the flight.
And then, thank you, Jen. And then Mike went ahead and elaborated a little bit more the difference between business class and first class in our chat. Okay, Cynthia, just you have a question about what time of day, 24 hours before the event. Can you clarify?
In a previous position, I used to process travel reports where people were, it's like you're saying a day before. Are you talking a full 24 hours before a conference starts, where people are going, oh, but I went to breakfast and then, I'm flying all day. So that one day, it's like if your conference ends at noon on a Friday, are we still reimbursing for dinner at 8 o'clock at night? I just wondered what the limits are when you say a day.
So like Mike had put in the chat, we don't really get that granular. We want everybody to use their judgment on it. That said, getting dinner at the restaurant around the corner from your house on your way home from a trip is not part of your trip. You're home, you've landed. So we're not claiming any more expenses after that. And with regard to the timing of it, everybody's a little bit different. So everybody's needs are going to be different. My travel next week is going to start at 9 o'clock in the morning, but my conference starts the following day at 8 o'clock in the morning. So it's not a full day, but I'm going to be on a plane for most of the day. So each scenario just has to be judged on its own merits.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Yep. And yes, for policy, just using calendar days. PL, what kind of documentation needed for 2 and 3? The same as we have now for our airfare justification. So if it's a timing issue, we need to have the agenda showing that you're the person who's traveling and you're the person who's speaking, and this is the time, and that there's literally no time in between for adequate rest, or a doctor's note, that sort of thing. So the requirements, the backup documentation has not changed. That requirement hasn't changed. Christina.
Yes, hi Jen. Just very quick clarification on the first class and business class. If there's additional chart on that, if a traveler indicated, he or she need, a bigger space to do some work, is that acceptable?
If they're indicating that they're going to, can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, they say they need, a little bit more space. I don't know. Let's say they long, the legs long, long arms, so they touching another. So basically, they just need a bigger space. I'm not sure if that's enough to justify for the first class or the business class or not.
No.
Yeah, everything. It's usually, if it's a medical need to have the space, that would be justified, or the reasons are listed on the form. but just to have extra space to work wouldn't be a sufficient enough explanation to provide reimbursement for first class or business class service.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Let's see here. So, okay, looks like we're caught up. I'm gonna go ahead and move forward to the next slide. All great questions. We encourage you to keep asking questions if we are unsure. Let's see here. Okay. Next slide. So clarified disallowed personal expenses when traveling. So like, for example, if you forgot your toothbrush and you go ahead and purchase a toothbrush because you forgot, it was your negligence, can't get reimbursed for that. That's a personal expense, right? So there's just clarification now about personal expenses and what's disallowed in the new update. Travelers are encouraged to keep receipts for all out-of-pocket expenses. The key word here is encouraged, and that's something that is something that should be a rule of thumb, regardless. But that is that's been updated. Documentation required when booking indirect travel and/or personal time combined with a UC business trip. So, to what Jen just said in regards to the previous slide, if you are going to extend a trip for personal reasons, there needs to be appropriate supporting documentation in terms of what is being asked for when seeking reimbursement. Justification required when using a rental car. That's been updated into the policy. And then finally, we clarify that mileage between an employee's home and headquarters is not reimbursable. And that's something we see a lot of when reports are being submitted. There's a difference between employee's home and headquarters where you're stated to be working. Okay, so let's see here.
Okay, so Mandy, rental car justification. So previously you would rent a car and you would say, rented a car to go to the conference. Now what we need to see is, why did you rent a car to go to a conference when you could have otherwise taken public transportation, rideshare, something that's much more cost effective when you're at a conference and you're at the location for 2 or 3 days? Where's the benefit and the business need for having a rental car? And if you have a business need for that, that's great. Put it in the justification, enter it in the comments in the expense, and put it through. But we just need to know why. We need more of an explanation as to why we're paying for parking and gas and all of the expenses that come with renting a car, when we could have possibly just used rideshare to get there and back. Does that track?
Yes, and thank you, Crystal, for adding the link there.
Thank you. And Sophia, no, Tylenol, ibuprofen is not considered an incidental. An incidental is literally just a tip that you give to a baggage porter. So, and with regard to that, when we talk about having that $92 a day for meals and incidentals for domestic travel, we're only going to reimburse what was actually spent on meals or an incidental. So if you have, you've only spent $32 on meals and you spent $4 on Tylenol, we're not reimbursing the $4 for Tylenol. We're only reimbursing the $32 for meals. Even though you could spend up to $92, we're only reimbursing what you actually spent. And yes, Olga, car rental justification does apply to group travel, but it makes sense when we're especially we see it with athletics when they rent a multi-passenger van to take the team somewhere. That makes perfect sense. We just want to explain it in the report.
And Joe, yes, a screenshot from Maggie Expense, BCD Travel, providing a that would be sufficient if it's showing the price of the flight that's being taken.
And as I always say, the house always wins. So whichever one is less costly to the university, that's the one that's being reimbursed. So if you are adding time onto a trip and it happens to lower your airline ticket, well, thank you for saving the university some money. But if you're adding the days and it's going to increase the cost, then you're going to pay that separately, the difference separately. And we've got some, Crystal just dropped a link in there, and it'll also be in the slides later, that how to actually run the quote, and that we need to see that there's a day and a time that the quote was run. And the quotes should be run before or at the time of booking the actual trip.
Jen, yeah, Jamie has, can mileage be claimed if driving from home to a meeting a couple hours away when there is not an airport nearby? Or does work address have to be used as the starting location?
It depends.
It does.
It does. So I use myself as the example. So I live in El Dorado County. If I were traveling to a meeting in Lake Tahoe, I'm going to claim the mileage from my home in El Dorado County to Lake Tahoe because it's closer than Davis to Lake Tahoe. But if I'm traveling to a meeting in San Francisco, I would normally commute to Davis. So I'm only going to claim my mileage from my Davis headquarters to my meeting in San Francisco and back to Davis.
So there's a prevailing theme here. Hopefully we're all understanding. And it is, what is the most cost-effective way to do travel for the university? And we sort of have to have that mentality when we're going through this. Okay, we got more questions. Okay, are we still allowing mileage from home to airport for trip?
Depends on where you live in conjunction between your office and the airport and what day of the week you're traveling. So if you're leaving on a non-regular work day, so most of us work Monday through Friday, and we had to leave on a Sunday from our home to travel for work, then yes, we can claim the mileage from our home to the airport because it's a non-regular work day. If it is a regular work day, so for example, Monday, I fly out 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to leave from my home, but the distance between my home and the airport and my office in the airport is much different. So I'm only going to claim the mileage from the office to the airport because that's where I would have normally left from if I were working in the office.
Okay, we'll continue going through these questions. All great questions, everybody. Thank you. If an employee lives out of state during summer, can we reimburse from their home base, or should it be from UC Davis? So for example, if the trip was to location in California, not to Davis, but another UC, but they currently live outside California and traveled from there.
No, not very likely. There would have to be a real serious business justification for us paying for somebody's choice to live in an outside area when the work is being done in California. So
yeah, the short answer is no.
Yeah, that's the short answer. Yeah. Veronica, you've had your hand up.
Yes, good question. In regards to the cost comparison, regardless if it's airfare or car rental or for cost comparison, do they need to be from Concur Aggie Expense, or could they be from any airline? So I thought it changed that it had to be from Concur Aggie Expense.
So I think that the policy does say through Aggie Expense because that's our booking tool, but we will accept it from if you go straight to the airline. So if you're looking at United Airlines flights, because that's the only flight between, here and Denver on that day, I'm going to look at those flights and see the cost comparison.
Okay, so basically,
yeah,
the key point is that it needs to be at the time of booking. So the comparison has to be.
Yes.
I just thought I read where it was updated, where it had that the cost comparison needed to be from Aggie Expense Concur. So I wanted to confirm as we update our information.
Yeah, the guidance and the recommendation is to use our travel booking tool, so through Aggie Expense. And there's reasons for that also because, you know, UCOP has the ability to negotiate discounts and pricing with those airlines that are available through there. So we do get a bit of a discount. It's not huge. I mean, it's usually like 1 to 3%, but something is better than, you know, some savings is better than none.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Mike's answering some of these questions too as we continue away. Yeah, Yesenia, that's, yep. Work schedule does not impact headquarter locations. Your headquarter locations is your headquarter locations, whether you work a hybrid schedule or not. See. Okay, Michelle, is headquarters defined as your primary or main work location? It is where your office is located. So where if you're working a hybrid schedule, your work location is your office location. That makes sense.
What if you have two offices, like one on campus and one in health?
That's a good question.
That's a little bit different, and I'm just going to go back to the house always wins. Whichever one is going to cost the university less money. You know, if you're expected to be at the health system on Wednesday and Thursday each week, and you're leaving for a meeting to go to, you know, Yuba City, you're going to calculate it from the hospital on Wednesday to go to Yuba City. And if you are leaving, you know, from the Davis office, you're going to calculate it from the Davis office because that's where you actually were.
Okay.
Yeah, and Mike just posted, and this is 100%. Regarding the headquarters, your home office, it's there's everybody has one in UC Path, and that's the one that they're going to have to use.
But again, in the light of being a good steward of university funds, if you're closer to the university when you're starting your trip to your destination, that's where you're going to actually claim your starting point was, because that's truthful, basically.
Okay,
sorry.
I'm going to go ahead and move to the next slide.
Oh, we have one more
let's
question. If justification is needed when using a UCD fleet vehicle. We don't, yes, essentially, because there's a justification needed for every expense when you are claiming travel reimbursement or travel costs. What we need to see is that the fleet vehicle was used, and that's why you're claiming gas or fuel on your travel card, because you were putting that gas or fuel into a fleet vehicle. We wouldn't reimburse mileage on a UCD fleet vehicle. We would just do the actuals of what was spent to fill it. And is electric car charging reimbursable in the same light that gasoline would be reimbursable? If it's a UC fleet vehicle and it's an electric vehicle, then yes, you can charge your recharging, your car charging onto your travel card. And if you're using your own personal e-vehicle and you're driving, you're going to claim mileage and not put the charging of the electric car on a card or seek reimbursement for that cost specifically.
Okay, thank you, Jen. I'm going to go ahead and move to the next slide. Keep asking questions in chat, and we will do our best to get to all the questions. I just want to make sure we don't lose sight of the rest of the presentation here. Okay, travel guidance. So lots of hyperlinks here. And so when you receive or access the slide deck, we encourage you to look at all these links for further information. But this is sort of the guidance that have been put out. So we have now a UC Davis Principles of Travel, right? Again, we're using that word, being a good steward of the university. We have principles of travel, of what not to do or what not to ask for when it comes to travel related expenses. Cost-conscious tips sprinkled throughout the website?
Oh, I haven't told Vartan about this yet. Yes. We have some cost-saving tips that are, as we're making updates to the website, we're adding these little tips, things like, instead of paying for a seat selection, just take an open seat that's available on the plane and don't spend the extra money to reserve a seat. things like that. Just little things that we don't often think about when we're making reservations because we're, you know, busy in there and just trying to get our plans made and get on to the next task of the day. But thinking about, you know, do I really need to board early for a flight? Maybe I do. Maybe there I have to meet a deadline and I've got to get there. And so if I do, I'm going to justify that. I'm going to explain that and I'm going to show, here's my agenda. I got off the plane at this time. It took me this long to get to the venue and I had to start speaking at this time. So yeah, I needed to be on the plane first so I could get off first. That's one explanation.
And, I'll say this too. This sort of falls in line with all the other budgetary concerns that we're all facing. So not only are we updating policy, but there's reasons behind we have to be, we're all facing budgetary constraints here. And so having sort of these cost conscious tips, some of the other policy updates would fall in line of what I think a lot of concerns are right now, especially with travel. Okay, so step-by-step guidance to obtain airfare lodging quotes at the time of booking when a comparison is needed. So a link for that. Updated approver training and guidance about approver qualifications. Okay, so there are certain individuals who could meet the qualifications or criteria to be an approver. And that's been updated. Recommendations to utilize concur request module for pre-approvals and budgeting of trips. I mean, I think this is a big one. We use this at supply chain under FOA, I believe. So if I'm going anywhere for a business related trip, it needs to be approved beforehand. And this really gives the approvers, the decision makers, an idea of what's going to be budgeted for the trip, and hopefully address any sort of the questions that are out there. Is this okay? Is this not okay? Well, if you submit a pre-approval and it's being reviewed by an approver, hopefully that will address those questions at that time.
So Rebecca, the seat selection fees are basically the new standard. And if you don't reserve a seat, you'll end up all the way in the back. This is not an expectation. This is guidance. So each traveler needs to consider their own scenario. So like I said, if I had to be off the plane in order to meet a deadline, I don't have the time in my day in order to wait for the line to get off the plane. We can justify it. That's not a problem. But if I don't have those time constraints, and I just simply want to get on the plane and off the plane as quick as possible for my own convenience, it's not really a justification. So the theme here is we want to be mindful of the money that we're spending that belongs to the university.
And Rebecca, I say this sort of in jest, but Southwest will no longer have open seating. Policy change there for them. Okay, I'm going to continue moving forward here. Recommendations for departments to track how many team members are planning to attend a conference, right? There needs to be full transparency about this. So we're there's recommendations for departments to track that. And then, as we've already talked about now a few times today, the recommendations regarding mileage reimbursements in Davis and in the Sacramento areas. Okay, going back to the chat here again. Thanks, Mike, and Crystal for following up here with all the good questions we have. I think we should be caught up here.
I think we are, yeah.
Which is great. Okay, excellent.
So I do want to read the recommendation that we have, the guidance on the mileage reimbursement between Davis and Sacramento. Because we're not saying we can't claim mileage between the two. What we're saying is, let's think about if we really need to claim the mileage between the two. So when traveling across the Sacramento and Davis campuses to conduct business or attend meetings, travelers should first consider whether the trip is necessary. Utilize virtual options such as video conferencing when feasible. If travel is essential, travelers are expected to utilize fleet vehicles or intra-campus shuttle services before driving their own vehicles. Mileage claims for travel between UC operated facilities in Davis and Sacramento should include a justification as to why the use of a personal vehicle was required. So again, it's the guidance that's out there, and what we're saying is we just need the reasons behind it.
Okay,
All right.
moving on. Central office processes. Central office being us. So, and Jen's team. Additional central office review for select destinations. So anything that's international, and then Hawaii, Florida, Nevada, Louisiana, some of these places that but they're going to be looked at a little bit more carefully to ensure that all the business expenses are in line with the travel business request and not personal in nature. And then reports from travelers with previous policy violations will undergo additional review, regardless of the expense amount and additional documentation. So for example, all receipts may be required. And I'll say this, the vast majority of people do the right thing. We appreciate that. And it's the partnership between ourselves, central office, and the rest of campus and the hospital. Everybody pretty much does the right thing. There's that saying though, right? And it's one bad apple ruins a basket. And so sort of case in point, there are individuals who may have multiple policy violations, and we will handle those as one-offs and hopefully be able to educate them on the policies of UC Davis travel.
And for some clarity on the selected destinations, not that Nevada and Louisiana are all that fabulous, but it's more along the lines of Las Vegas and New Orleans, things like that, where, like I had said earlier, if I were to take a work trip and I take my family with me, again, I can claim my own business expenses, but only my own business expenses, what I actually spent on my own business travel. Just because I get $92 a day does not mean I can take my family out to dinner and get reimbursed $92. I can only be reimbursed for what I spent on my business travel. And how do we know if the traveler we're creating the report for has a violation? We will let you know if we need more information on the report.
Okay. Hang in there, everybody. We're almost done with the slideshow presentation. Okay, so Olive and Vine moves to FITS. So beginning September 23rd, just a couple weeks, Olive and Vine will process internal recharges using the finance internal transfer system, so FITS. The expenses will no longer import into Aggie expense. Olive and Vine will prepare and route FITS document to the financial department approver. And finally, the reconciliation is complete when FITS document is approved by the financial department approver. Any questions about that? Okay. Oh, thank you. You're welcome, Carla.
Oh, so question Doug asked, how do we determine whether the traveler is purchasing food for multiple people? I can tell you my first clue is when the charge is for Starbucks and it's $37. That would be one way to look at it. So we do, if it looks like and yes, it would be hard to prove, Mandy. And so what we do is look at what the reasonable costs are. So if we know that it's a reasonable cost to go to Starbucks, and now, a latte is $9 and the snacky things are, $5, $6. So we're going to be looking for a charge that's probably less than $20 for this one traveler to go to Starbucks. Things like that. So it's just with time, and when we see the different types of expenses coming across our desks, we kind of can judge, this is what it is. And we'll question it. So the traveler can always explain it. And that goes back to, if there's enough explanation in the report, then we won't have to question it because it's already explained in the report. I lost my thought of what I was going to say about the next one. Oh, some departments do require all receipts to be submitted. Yes. And on those receipts, it'll say 4 guests. And, you know, even though it came to $40, you can't have the whole $40 for that meal unless that one traveler ate all 4 of those meals. You know, that's the thing. It comes back to being a good steward, being an honest person, which I think we all are. You know, there's just some things when extra liberties are taken because people feel that the $92 limit is a per diem, meaning that they should just get that amount for the day, or, you know, for each day of travel, regardless of what's spent. And really, travel is a reimbursement. We're not supposed to be making money in our own pockets off of traveling. It's just to reimburse us for what it actually cost us to travel on behalf of the university.
And sort of backing up what Jen just said, so there are departments who require documentation, supporting documentation for everything. That is up to the department, whether you choose to do something or not. Along those lines, you know, we as the central office are here to support the departments in any way within policy that we can. So, yeah. Okay. Okay, Instant Card replacing our preferred booking program. So the US Bank Instacart's a virtual credit card is coming soon. The preferred booking program. So what was called CTS, then was PBP, now is transitioning to the Instacart. So the Instacart is for guest travelers, right? And then employees who rarely travel or entertain. And this is happening before the end of this year. So this is a new product that US Bank is offering. We are excited. We think there's some opportunities to utilize the Instacart outside of what I think it was originally intended for use. And so the original intended use by US Bank was, well, you know, Jennifer's traveling and she loses her UC Davis travel card. What does she do? And this happens every once in a while. We're able to actually push a virtual card to the individual through their Apple or Android phone. And they were able to access it after they download the app, access it in their wallet. So now you have a card and you're not lost without a card. But we're sort of leveraging the capabilities of the Instacart to replace our current preferred booking program. And long story short of that, we've had some issues with the tool that we use to reconcile CTS transactions in the back office. So this is going to be a very viable replacement, and we're looking forward to launching that before the end of the year.
And Mike also put in a caveat. We're hoping the Instant Card will be here before the end of the year. 2 things I want to point out. One, Mike and Vartan call it an Instacard, and Crystal and I call it an Instant Card. So we're still having this debate internally of what it's going to be branded. I lost my train of thought on the other one. It'll come back to me. Oh, with Mike saying we're hoping to have it by the end of the year. So standing up a card program entails a lot of back-end work by a lot of people who are behind the scenes that you never know were involved in the project. And so we are working closely with our own special projects team and with our admin IT developers and programmers, who I personally believe use magic to make all this stuff happen in the background. But they're phenomenal and they have a lot of work on their plate. So we get scheduled in for them to do the jobs that we ask them to do. Developing a new Instant Card program, for one, it involves a lot of key players that have to come together. So we are hoping to have it launched by then, but it's dependent on many different moving pieces. So just be a little graceful with us when it comes to the timeline here.
So
How long will it take? So we will have more information about the instant card coming because we are still developing a lot of this. But ideally, it should be pretty instant. So the applicant will put in a Concur request, just like you would for a travel card or a P card now. And then once it's approved, we'll be looking for it and we'll go in and issue it immediately. And how does the card work with local lodging vendors? Thank you, Melissa. Yes, so this is the best part of this is we can, narrator, it's not instant, but it will be pretty fast. Thank you, Mike. Instead of having the direct bill with our local lodging partners, they will instead provide a rate code. And so what you'll do is when your guest is coming, you'll get them an instant card and we'll know that it's going to cost X amount of dollars for them to go to the Aggie Inn for these days. So what we'll do is we will make that card active for the period of time that it's needed to pay for that lodging at that rate at that location. And then that way, when they go to check out, they can give the hotel the virtual card, they'll run it or do it from their e-wallet, whatever we're calling those these days. And then the expense will import directly into the traveler's profile in Concur, and it will not require us, the part that we're currently doing, like Bartan said, it gets very, gets sticky sometimes. We have a very manual process for pushing the preferred booking CTS charges into Concur. And so that piece of it, it's a huge challenge for us now, is not going to be there anymore. It'll all be automated from the bank to Concur, and we're done.
And then just to add to that too, we've already verified with all the local lodging places that they will accept the Instacart as a way for payment. Is PBB being retired?
Yes.
Yeah.
Stephen, will the instant card be permitted for professional expenses? So we are not quite there yet, but this is definitely a question that has come up and we will address it. So if there's a need that, essentially we have to remember the instant card is a travel card. So if you could use your travel card, it's a legitimate travel card expense, then it can go on the instant card. Paying for research subject credits, that's more of a P card side of the house transaction. But we can discuss use cases offline and see if it's viable for the campus.
Yeah, and the Instacart is not replacing the travel card. It's just another means to get a card out to those individuals that need it. And for guest travelers.
Will we be able to make the lodging accommodations for the non-employee traveler using their instant card? No, because it's their card. We don't share card numbers with people, but Ruby, you can make the reservations with your own travel card for them and reconcile them in your profile like you can now. Talene, we don't know yet. This is one piece where we're still working through this. If a guest traveler overspends on daily allowances. So we have a couple of things that we can do that we're still vetting. So I don't want to discuss it yet because I don't want to add confusion to it, but we will definitely have solid guidance on that before the card launches.
Yeah. And then Sheena, our office will provide the traveler the Instacart upon request, and we'll go into all that as the time gets closer and how that process is going to work. How fast can this? I say, Christina, not instant,
but quickly.
Okay, let's move on from the Instacart. By the way, when we are ready to roll out the Instacart program, there's going to be plenty of communication. We're going to go over all the process, the steps, everything that's associated with that. So there'll be more clarification with the Instacart product when it comes out. All right, finally, communication. So what's going on with all this stuff, all this fun stuff? So we have the supply chain monthly newsletter. And if you are not signed up for that, we would encourage you to sign up. Emails to travel info on our listserv. And then the planned communication. So between the Provost Leadership Council, Chancellor's Leadership Council, and faculty, all this information is going to be, if it hasn't already been, sent out and repeated to ensure that everybody is aware of the policy updates. And we have office hours, always, that we highly encourage everybody to use. It's also a great tool to come in, stop by, and a forum to be able to answer your questions. So, that being said, that is the end of our slide deck presentation. Continue, let's go see here. Are we caught up with the questions? Thank you, Crystal. Yep, there's the information you need if you're interested in signing up for the monthly supply chain letter. And then Crystal, again, thank you for providing the times and dates for office hours. Jen and Mike are on it with Melissa in regards to her questions. I think we're caught up now. I know, lots of information. But again, we are here to support and help answer those questions that you may have, even after outside this call today. Well, I don't have anything else. Jennifer, Mike, either of you?
I think that this was a lot of information, and that if there are questions, we'll be in office hours in the coming weeks. I'll be there in the next couple of weeks if there's questions that you want to ask me directly, or I'm happy to set up a time to meet with departments, or, you know, as always, we're here for you.
Yes, we are. So I think some of the supply chain folks will stay behind here and continue to try to answer any questions you may have. But otherwise, thank you all so much for taking the time to meet with us today. We hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll chat soon.